All right, Sean Salisbury here. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. This is my Pickswise college football picks of the week. All kinds of games throughout the weekend. And COVID's obviously affected a lot of this stuff, whether it's Nick Saban, whether it's the starting quarterback with Oklahoma State. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on with people being banged up. The SC game canceled because of COVID. It's been a wild year, but happy Thanksgiving. Hope you guys had a great one, and it's a happy Thanksgiving weekend. It's always good when we have football to discuss. Let's start with the team I picked earlier in the year, and they just have not in a game, and they've let a lot of people down throughout the season. It's Michigan. They host Penn State at the Big House. Now, Michigan at 2-3 and Penn State at 0-5. Do you know that both of these teams were like top 25 teams, top 20 teams when the season began? Penn State hadn't won a game, so you say, when's it going to happen? Not very good, man. And then you go Michigan, they're not either, but they're replacing. Cade McNamara is going to start a quarterback. The young quarterback who didn't know when he was there, Elite 11 guy, didn't know when he was going to get on the field. Because remember, McCaffrey transferred. Eric Milton got the job, and McCaffrey transferred. And then McNamara was next in line. Everybody thought, well, Milton's a big stud. Well, last couple games, McNamara's come in and got some momentum going. And Michigan seems to rally around him more. He's going to start. And more accurate, and they seem to have picked up a little bit different rhythm. Now, neither one of these teams is in danger of scaring anybody on any given Saturday, but they are capable of winning on any given Saturday. Jim Harbaugh, hot seat, obviously, has won a couple games, but those wins have not been overly impressive, and that's not taking him off his hot seat at his alma mater. Michigan's at -1 in this game, favored at home. I know it's a pick 'em. Pick at your own risk when it comes to this, and be smart when you gamble, and do it wisely, please, in all your games, and be wise. But we're grateful you're here on Pickswise. I'm taking Michigan at home -1. I think McNamara is going to be the spark, and he gets to start, and they win this game in a close one, and neither team's going to impress you with a thrill a minute, I promise you. Oklahoma State 5-2, Texas Tech 3-5. The reason I'm picking this now, it's an 11-point spread for Oklahoma State, and I'm not going to touch that because they may be down to their third quarterback, starter, COVID, the original starter, injury. And now you may be down to your third quarterback depending on how the auditions went this week. But you're playing a 3-5 Texas Tech team. And I'm taking the over because I think both teams will score. We know that Oklahoma State can run the football and will pass enough from Mike Gundy's offense. This is one of those you say, man, could this be a backdoor cover? So I stayed away from that and went with the over. It's at 54.5, and Oklahoma State was embarrassed by Oklahoma last week. So Joe Sixpack may be able to play quarterback and put points on the board this week. Expect them to run it. They'll mix in the throw. These are usually Big 12 games with big plays. Neither one right now is threatening to change the way the Big 12 plays football, but both teams will be able to score in this football game. It's at 54.5, and I think the embarrassment, no matter who the quarterback is, Mike Gundy will always have them ready. Look for them to try and get a steady diet of running the football and make up for their humiliating loss to Oklahoma at Bedlam. Headed back home to Stillwater. I like Oklahoma State in this football game, but more importantly, I like the over. 54.5. These two teams will score. This is one of those we could see in the 60s in that football game. And I'm going to go with another over-under, and it's the Alabama-Auburn game. Auburn and Gus Malzahn play Alabama pretty darn well. What's he, 2-3 versus him over the last 5 years that he's been coaching in this situation. So I think Gus Malzahn can keep this game close. Now, it's a blowout pick for Alabama, but Nick Saban's not going to be there. But he knows, like Belichick in the NFL, how to get his team ready for circumstances that may not call for him being there, but somebody else. Remember earlier this year, he was able to he tested and then passed his test and was able to go coach. And this one now, it appears that he's not coaching in this football game, and I'll believe it when I see it. But that's what they say, that he's quarantining and taking care of himself. But the over-under in this football game is 63. Oh, I think that Auburn, Bo Nix has played a little bit better. Alabama's defense has played better. Mac Jones wants to get back into this Heisman race. Style points with the number one Alabama, although you say, well, do they need style points? I think they need to do some shutting down on defense and proving that. But their offense can run it. They can throw it. They've got big plays all over the field. And Auburn does enough trickeration and the old sleight of hand. And this is when Gus Malzahn brings it out. I would fully expect to see some of those. This is big play game, over under at 63. I'm taking the over in this game as well. I think it'll be a high-scoring game. This isn't the old-school Alabama 17-14 game. This is, 38-28 type game, one of those that's creeping up towards mid-60s, 70 points. Clemson, they are 22.5-point favorites over Pitt. Now, Pitt's 5-4, Clemson 7-1. Speaking of style points, missing games with their quarterback, him being with the COVID list for 2 games. Last week, all the talk with Florida State and why they didn't play and pissed off Dabo. They need some style points. They want to crush Pitt. Now, Pitt's playing pretty decent football. They're physical. Too many athletes on Clemson. There just is. Way too many athletes for me on Clemson in this football game. I think Clemson's going to take care of their business. 22.5 points. I think this is a huge game for Clemson. Lawrence, who's kind of now more than likely out of the Heisman race because of missed games, they're going to have something to prove, and Dabo's going to take it out on Pitt. I like Clemson. They could play them in the parking lot. Pitt's good. Clemson will pull away 22.5 points. I got Clemson. And then finally, another big one. I'm giving them another chance. I'm staying in the Big Ten with this. Illinois does not throw the ball well. Ohio State doesn't defend the pass very well. That changes this week. One of those weaknesses is going to play better. Ohio State, I guarantee you, Ryan Day, let them have it. Up big last week against Indiana. Let them get back into the game. The last 2 games, they've disappointed gamblers and bettors because they haven't covered. This is 27.5 points, and they are going to go into Champaign-Urbana and blow out Illinois. As much as I like their guts, the way Illinois kind of hung in there in games and playing better, I just think running and throwing that Ohio State doesn't like the way it ended last week. Even though they beat Indiana, they didn't like it. And this is a huge game for a team that obviously has national championship aspirations. They got to get better defending the pass. It will show up. That weakness for them will rear its head this week. They'll be able to run it and throw it this week. I look for no disappointment on the back end on a backdoor cover this week. Ohio State at 27.5 points. They win this one by 4.5 touchdowns. I like Ohio State to continue. Big style points weekend. A lot of the top teams I'm choosing this weekend, and some over-unders. I think there'll be a lot of points scored. All that Thanksgiving meal will be worn off, and they'll be ready to get it. Have a good one. I'm Sean Salisbury. This is your Pickswise College Football Picks of the Week. Have a great weekend and have a great college football Saturday. See you next time.